Psychology, the science of the mind. But was it always a science, or did it used to just be guys kind of making stuff up? Grandfather of psychology and noted cocaine enthusiast Sigmund Freud produced a lot of theories of the mind, almost all of which are not empirically testable. Because you can't just open a brain up and go, ah yeah, there's the superego, a lot of Freud's theories are not falsifiable. These concepts and ideas came about through Freud just kind of theorizing via his own observations and not through the scientific method. This meant a lot of early psychologists came up with some wild stuff that could not truly be tested. Even actual experiments in early psychology tended to be things like, how much can we traumatize a child? Since early psychology was kind of the Wild West when it came to both theories and experiments, it allowed guys to swoop in and do things we wouldn't really think of as ethical today. And luckily for us, they put some of that stuff on video. In 1965, California psychotherapist Everett L. Shostrom put together a video series intending to show how three eminent psychologists of the day approached therapy. Fittingly, the video was called 3 Approaches to Psychotherapy. The video was split into 3 different demo therapy sessions with a real patient, identified only as Gloria. The video series is sometimes known as the Gloria films. 2 of the sessions are pretty much what you think of when you think of therapy. The 3rd session is totally fucking insane.
Are you a little girl?
Well, no, but it's the same feeling.
Are you a little girl?
This feeling reminds me of it.
Are you a little girl?
No. That's been said to me before, but I don't buy it. I don't believe
What are you doing with your feet now?
I want to get mad at you. You know what I'd like to do? I want you on my level.
Tell me, embarrass me. Tell me how old, how ugly I am.
Well, I'm mad at you.
Wonderful. That's rubbish. You're not jacketing. You're getting back into your safe corner.
Well, that's the way it feels. That's what the safe corner feels like to me.
Now go back to your safe corner. Could you choke me?
The gentleman you saw in the clips was Fritz Perls, a German psychologist. Unlike the fun-loving and easygoing Germans you see in popular culture, Fritz was serious and ideological. Fritz was a Gestalt therapist. If you ever took a psychology class in high school or college, you may remember Gestalt, a German school of psychology that essentially contended that the sum is different than the whole of its parts. You might see images like this alongside it in textbooks, leading to the mental association that Gestalt equals optical illusions. Fritz created Gestalt therapy, which he insisted was different than Gestalt psychology and featured absolutely 0 optical illusions. Instead, Gestalt therapy really emphasized the experience of that exact moment, paying close attention to not just the client's words, but their body language and actions. Oftentimes, the therapist is actually more concerned with the actions of the client than what they're saying. If a Gestalt therapist sees you nervously bouncing your leg up and down, they may ask you to repeat and exaggerate that movement, thereby forcing you to confront the unconscious causes of it. Okay, sure. But as demonstrated by Fritz in this video, there's a lot of confronting going on in Gestalt therapy. Fritz seems to deliberately want to make the patient mad, to goad them into authenticity. But all he seems to do is to make the patient authentically dislike him. I should probably take this time to mention that I'm not a psychologist or psychology expert of any kind. However, I did read Walden 2 by B.F. Skinner in high school, and I went through a behaviorism phase, the same way you might go through a ska phase. Except for me, the ska phase never ended. The point is, you're not getting an expert analysis of Gestalt therapy here. But to be frank, you don't need to be an expert to see that some of what happens in this 30-minute therapy session is really strange, especially compared with the other 2 psychologists featured. The other 2 psychologists featured were Dr. Carl Rogers, known for his humanistic, client-centered approach, and Dr. Albert Ellis, the creator of rational emotive behavior therapy. I'll let Dr. Shostrom himself explain why he created this video series.
An actual patient was courageous enough and considerate enough to allow herself to be photographed while actually engaged in therapy with 3 different therapists. Thus, we are allowed the privilege of seeing and feeling what really transpires.
Wow, he's a natural on camera. I do want to emphasize one more time that Gloria is a real patient and not an actress in any way. Part 1 of the video is her session with Dr. Carl Rogers, and we learn that Gloria is recently divorced and anxious about discussing her own sex life and dating with her children. To be clear, Gloria is incredibly brave to agree to talk about these things on camera in the 1960s. Gloria is going to discuss these issues with all 3 therapists so you can see the different ways they handle them. Dr. Carl Rogers is patient and empathetic with Gloria, and she feels at ease with him immediately.
Well, right now I'm nervous, but I feel more comfortable the way you're talking in a low voice, and I don't feel like you'll be so harsh on me.
Rogers had begun his part of the video by explaining the 3 general principles of person-centered therapy, which he helped to develop. Unconditional positive regard, or acceptance, a sense of being genuine, and empathetic understanding. Rogers demonstrates all 3 of these principles in his session with Gloria, and she seems to come out of it with a greater sense of self-understanding, if not acceptance. But that's just one way to approach therapy. What if instead, the therapist spent the entire time trying to piss Gloria off? In part 2 of the film, we are introduced to Dr. Fritz Perls. The film begins with Perls explaining the principles of Gestalt therapy as he sees it.
The basic technique is this: not to explain things to the patient, but to provide the patient with opportunities to understand and to discover himself. For this purpose, I manipulate and frustrate the patient in such a way that he's confronting himself.
You see, by antagonizing the patient can truly discover themselves. It's the same way I can only truly understand who I am when I'm cut off in traffic. What Fritz is saying is that he is, essentially, trolling the patient into self-discovery. He refers to the therapy session as a safe emergency, where the patient can be brought into a heightened state where they move beyond the surface and mature, where they can stand on their own and, quote, wake up from the nightmare of their existence. Fritz also mentions he disregards most of what the patient actually says, as this isn't relevant to Gestalt therapy. It turns out your ex was a Gestalt therapist. The session begins with Gloria and Dr. Perls sitting down. Dr. Perls says, we are going to have an interview for half an hour, and then just lets the silence sort of hang there for a while. Gloria reacts to Perls the exact opposite way she reacted to Carl Rogers.
We are going to have an interview for half an hour.
Right away, I'm scared.
Sorry, Gloria, there is no unconditional positive regard here. Perls responds by saying that Gloria claims to be scared and yet she is smiling, so how can that be? Eventually, this leads to Perls calling Gloria a phony.
Sure, you're bluff, you're phony.
Do you believe, are you meaning that seriously?
Yeah, if you say you're afraid and you laugh and you giggle and you squirm, it's phony.
Clearly, the concept of the nervous laugh has not made its way to Germany yet. Gloria tells him she resents the accusation that she's a phony, and Perls seems delighted she's upset.
Well, I'm mad at you.
That's right. You didn't have to cover up your anger with your smile. Now, in that moment, in that minute, you were not a phony.
Well, at that minute I was mad, though. I wasn't embarrassed.
In other words, when you're mad, you're not a phony.
Later, essentially the same thing happens.
Well, I'm mad at you.
Wonderful.
It becomes clear from this session that Dr. Perls believes that an angry person, an upset person, is their most authentic self without any pretense. He tells her at one point that, by fighting with him, she came out quite a bit. The problem with this is that if you believe that, the easiest way to make somebody become their most authentic self would just be bullying them. Some of this does look like straight-up schoolyard bullying. At one point, he mocks Gloria for stammering.
Again.
I want to get mad at you. You know what I'd like to do? I want you on my level.
It's hard to square these actions with the fact that this is actually sophisticated psychological work. It's science. All the YouTube comments telling me to shave my ugly mustache were actually by Gestalt therapists, giving me a safe emergency. Unlike the session with Carl Rogers, there doesn't really appear to be any momentum in this session, as nothing seems to be developing other than Gloria's increasing dislike of Dr. Perls.
I don't feel close to you at all, Dr. Perls. I feel that's phony. I feel like you're playing one big game.
She says basically the same thing a few minutes later.
I'd like to feel that it's frustrating. If I were to leave you right now and not see you again, it would frustrate me to feel like there hadn't been more contact. I feel completely out of contact with you. Like I'm talking to the baby that doesn't understand me, or something like that. I don't feel like we're a bit in contact, and that frustrates me. That bothers me more than being angry with you. I'd rather we were angry and fought than to have no contact.
Perls has her right where he wants her, frustrated and feeling like she cannot trust or connect with him. This is the goal of therapy. Is Gloria learning anything about herself, or being forced to be in the here and now more? Well, to be fair, Gloria does start to get more self-conscious about what her body is doing, as she's afraid Perls will notice it and make it a whole thing. At one point, she touches her hair, and Perls immediately seizes upon this.
You did something with your hair there. Is by any chance something in my hair what you object to?
No.
No. Okay.
Sorry, shot in the dark there. I thought you might hate the fact that I'm bald. Whose subconscious are we getting a look at here? Gloria at one point admits that she has trouble letting people be close to her when she's feeling vulnerable. Fritz asks her why this might be, and she says,
The only thing I'm aware of is, like, when I perspire, it embarrasses me that should feel how wet I am, and it should hold my body up close, and I don't know. Just...
Are you aware of your facial expression, the kind of disgust?
Yes.
Coming?
Yes, I am.
Do this more, please. Again.
It's icky.
Again.
It's just icky. I can just feel what it is. I don't like it.
Can you say this to me, Fritz? You're icky.
No.
Again, for some reason, he wants her to tell him that he's gross and bald and stuff. Gloria does not take the bait. The session ends with an awkward back and forth about how Perls thinks that Gloria really wants to be a baby and be comforted. After this pronouncement, Perls says,
Well, I'll tell you something, Gloria. I think we came to a nice closure. I think we came to a little bit of understanding. I think we finished this situation now, right?
All right.
And the session just ends. Gloria has the bemused look of someone who does not feel like she came to a nice closure and a little bit of understanding. The video ends with Fritz Perls giving a little 3-minute spiel on how he thinks the session went. Spoiler, he thinks Fritz Perls did a great job.
The demonstration was, in my opinion, quite successful and consistent with my theoretical outlook.
He goes on to talk about how Gloria resisted what he was trying to do, but ultimately he succeeded in spite of her resistance. Gross. So what happened after the 3 sessions were filmed? Gloria was asked which of the 3 therapists she could most benefit from seeing again, and she surprisingly said Fritz Perls. However, Gloria was a real patient of Dr. Everett Shostrom, the guy who made the films, and Dr. Shostrom was an aspiring Gestalt therapist. So there's an implication that he could have pressured Gloria into picking Perls. Dr. Albert Ellis, the 3rd psychologist involved, literally said as much, and opined that the session with Perls was straight up bad for Gloria. At the end of the day, when all 3 sessions were filmed, Gloria was hanging out with the crew. On the other side of the room, Dr. Perls was hanging out with Dr. Albert Ellis, and they were both smoking cigarettes. Perls called Gloria over and asked her to hold out her hands like this, and then flicked his cigarette ashes into her hands. This is something that would rightly be rejected from a Mad Men script for being too on the nose. After some time had passed, Gloria revealed that she despised Perls, probably for the whole using her as an ashtray thing if nothing else. Gloria herself wrote years later that, "What I needed most at that time in my life was permission to be me. Instead, I found myself in a vicious circle of game playing, of having to respond in a specific manner. Although at the time I had no understanding of the why, I was surely aware of what I was feeling. Small, belittled, unimportant, confused, lacking wholeness." Gloria actually kept in touch with Carl Rogers for the rest of her life, corresponding via mail, and by all accounts they had a very pleasant, non-confrontational relationship. Now, Gloria had been told when she agreed to do this that these tapes would only be shown in academic and clinical settings. However, given that a rando like me has seen them, and you can easily find them on YouTube, you can probably guess that this did not end up being the case. Gloria's daughter recalled waking up one morning to discover her mother watching the Gloria films on TV. They got calls from coworkers, friends, and neighbors, all of whom were watching her get grilled by Perls on national television. The films were shown in movie theaters. Gloria sued Dr. Shostrom, but sadly, the release she signed was pretty expansive, and the lawsuit was abandoned. Gloria passed away from leukemia at the age of 46 in 1977. I have spent pretty much this entire video mocking Perls and his approach, but I spent little time talking about Gloria, the human being. Gloria's daughter, Pamela J. Burry, wrote an excellent book entitled Living with the Gloria Films, about the shadow they cast over her mother's tragically short life. I think it would be fitting to close this video with Pamela Bury's description of her mother. She wrote, "Gloria behaved and spoke how she felt, on film and in real life. She couldn't help herself. In her presence, you felt genuine, courageous, and valued. After a marathon of talk, you always felt loved." These films would not still be an article of interest 60 years later if it wasn't for Gloria's openness and authenticity. It's clear that, if nothing else, Fritz Perls was wrong that she was a phony. If you enjoyed this video, please like it and subscribe to my channel, because that will help me finally accept myself. Isn't that what therapy is all about? That's right, this whole video has actually been a therapy session between you and me, and you're the doctor, so I hope you take my insurance. Oh, that's our time? Don't these normally go like an hour? Okay, well, can we schedule another... No? All right.